Good afternoon, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk with Rags here in Season 5, Episode 2. And today, here we have the honor of the sports director here of WTKR Channel 3, Marc Davis, with us. Marc, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks a lot for having me. Really appreciate you having me on.
Sure, no problem. Appreciate your time, and let's start at the beginning. Growing up, there when you were going through high school and going into college, did you always want to be into broadcasting or do some type of sports reporter?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because my parents dusted off an old VHS tape a couple Christmases ago, and it
Yeah.
was me interviewing my brother during one of his baseball games when he was in third grade.
Right.
So yeah, I think it was even before high school and college, Mark, where I said, "Hey, this is what I want to do," and I wanted always to do something with sports, right? And I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to be able to play them professionally or anything like that. So I thought talking about them was the next best thing. So you really try not only to get in the space, but to educate yourself on everything you're covering. And I don't know nearly as much as I'd like to, but I've certainly learned a lot about different sports and the things that you maybe the casual fan doesn't pick up on while just watching TV or something like that. So it's been a treat. It's been an exciting ride. It's been a long, fun ride, but no long days. No, I mean a lot of long days, but no days that drag on. No slow days, rather, is the way
Right.
I would put that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and we'll get to definitely right now is definitely hot topic here for anybody in the sports business. But what led you here to come and be the sports director there for Channel 3 here in Norfolk?
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, I'll be pretty transparent about it. I was just unhappy in a current situation, right? I was at a place that was always very good to me, but didn't value sports in their products. So I wanted to get to a place that valued what I did more, where I felt like I was a more important piece to the puzzle. So when I saw the job opening, in Norfolk open up, I thought it would be a great opportunity, and now, it's nice to be at a place that welcomes sports, values it as part of the product. Because listen, my humble opinion is it's a pretty significant part of your community, right?
Yeah.
Local sports is like sometimes it's the only positive part of the newscast. Now at Channel 3, we really make an effort for that not to be the case. Our news department covers an array of positive happenings and things. But I just like I just thought like sports is just such a crucial part of the community that brings a community together. And I think it's important to shine a spotlight on some of these guys who are doing some pretty incredible things and tell the stories that go beyond the athletes. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, and like I've told you before, my wife Elizabeth, she's from the Ocean View part of Norfolk, as
Mhm.
my father-in-law was one of the welders on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel, and so her and her family been long time viewers of Channel 3, and then when I moved here in '87, with my dad being military, Ed Hughes and other Channel 3 reporters, that covered the military, definitely ended up doing a couple stories on when my dad's ship would come in and out. So,
Yeah.
definitely fans of Channel 3. And like I said before, Adam Winkler and Mitch Brown, a couple guys that previously worked at Channel 3, and
Yep.
based on family and different situations, they've no longer here locally, but they've
Right.
come on the podcast, so it's and I know that we've seen each other at high school football games and
Mhm.
ODU big games. So appreciate your time here to continue the Channel 3 sports employees that come on Sports Talk with Rags.
Well, hey, all due respect, I hope it's a little bit before you have another one, right? I'm pretty comfortable in my chair here. I hope they don't, I hope you don't have to, seek out the next guy for a little while here.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. And to follow up on what you said here in the introduction about there's really no slow days. I mean, really right now, and it's amazing how even at the high school football level, I mean, people want to know about high school football, college football, pro football, whether it's in season, off season, and currently here earlier in the week was MEAC Media Days, and with the Commanders opening up training camp.
Yeah, and it's funny. It just feels like that summer window where you're like looking for stuff and digging for stuff is shrinking smaller and smaller each year. And this was kind of sped up this summer a little bit because so many of our local athletes, our local products who have gone on into the pros and done big things, came back and did a lot with the community. So that definitely kept us busy too. Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Holmes, Cam Thomas, just to name a few. So, it was a busy summer in that regard. But yeah, I mean, you have recruiting, right? We saw Travis Johnson pick Michigan. We saw, a bunch of Green Run guys pick Virginia Tech. So, it's like this never ending wheel that we're on, but it's an exciting wheel. It's a fun wheel, right? Football and the NFL especially, right? I think it's trying to kind of, move on to the place where they own the calendar year, free agency in March, draft in April, OTAs in May, mini camps in June, training camp the end of July, and then you're off and running, right? So, it's yeah, but that's what kind of makes it fun. I mean, like, we football season, fall is our, they say, is like our tax season for an accountant. So
Right.
so we're looking forward to that, and this is just the kickoff of a really exciting time, no pun intended.
Yeah, and the thing about the Commanders is, I mean, on the horizon here in the next couple of years, the draft is coming to the area, and
Yep.
I'm sorry, but whoever had the idea for the NFL to take the draft out of the New York City and out on the road to the NFL cities is just a genius. And, so that's on the horizon. And
Yep.
then with the new ownership, possible new stadium back in the DC. So definitely a lot of excitement there for the Commanders, especially making it to the NFC Championship game last year.
Yeah, and it's all coming together. And I'm glad you mentioned the new ownership group, Mark, because like the vibe ever since they've taken over, I'm in Ashburn right now. So up here,
Yeah.
I'll say has been just night and day. Just the because you can see what they're doing. They wasted no time getting some of that culture out of the building and bringing a new one in. And I mean, Dan Quinn, what a hire, and what a guy who has instilled this culture, and who's just, I mean, I'm in the section that really never gets to ask him many questions in the press room, just all the way in the back there with my camera. But I just enjoy sitting there listening to the guy talk, because what he says just makes a lot of sense, and he's very, like just down to earth, and just you see the players just want to run through a brick wall for him. So yeah, I mean, I think that hire alone did so much for the culture in that locker room. And then the guys they brought in, I mean, just ever since the trickle down effect from the new ownership has led to all of the things we're seeing now. And, more fun times on the horizon, I think. And yeah, you mentioned the NFC Championship game last year. The question now is, are we going to see some regression, just some natural decline or regression just from having a season where you exceeded expectations from the outside? Or can they build on that? I don't think Jaden Daniels is an RG3 type situation. I think he's going to maintain and get better and improve. So I'm excited to see how they do this year. I think it's going to be very interesting to see, how they can follow up this 12-5 season. And I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but a lot has to go. Lucky and good is the way it has to go
Right.
to get that far. So can they do it again? I think that's the question in everybody's mind. I'm excited to see how some of these veterans that they brought in play out.
Yeah, and the thing is with the Commanders and the connection to the 757. I mean, Daryl Tapp, getting involved in coaching, and
Yep.
here a Deep Creek product, and been bouncing around to get his feet, experience there in the coaching, and here he lands with the Commanders last year and make it to the NFC championship game. I mean, and so with you covering training camp, I mean, do you kind of look for any connection to the 757 area there when you're reporting?
100%. That's pretty much our top priority, right?
Okay.
What's going to appeal to our local audience,
Right.
and what stories can we tell our viewers in our market that's going to provide knowledge for them? Why putting stuff into context I think is important. Why should they care what we're talking about? Everyone NFL's huge, right? It's America's
Right.
most popular sport. And so everyone likes the NFL to begin with, but when you can show these layers of how it connects to you locally, I think that's one of the most important things. So yeah, last night, the story we ran was on Jalen Holmes and Daryl Tapp, as you
Okay.
mentioned. Because local guys, that's who we went right for. That was our story on day one. Bobby Price, Virginia Beach guy who went to Norfolk State. We're going to try to catch up with him tomorrow.
Okay.
Did Jalen Lane today, the Virginia Tech guy. So not 757, but still within the Commonwealth. So
Right.
that's, you hit the nail on the head, Mark. That's exactly the kind of stories we're up here looking for. Yes, we want to talk about the Jaden Daniels, the Vaughn Millers, the Bobby Wagners, the Debo Samuels, Terry McLaurin contract situation, obviously. Those are all key stories. But number one up here, why we are here is to talk our local guys and bring that to our viewers. 100%.
Yeah, and also with where you're at for the Commanders, then you came from Baltimore, so
Yeah.
definitely with 95 to the Beltway. But what excitement there at Norfolk State here with not only who they brought in, but they're a guy from Warwick High School puts Virginia Tech on the map, and the career that he had, and then with the Eagles, and here a former teammate, like you were saying, when you reported on the MEAC media days here,
Mhm.
Sean Jackson there at Delaware State. So right off the bat, I mean, excitement for a TV viewership and for Behold the Green and Gold there with Mike Vick leading Spartan football.
Yeah, and what a better way to open it than what better way to open it rather than Thursday night under the lights in front of a national audience? What a way to usher that era in. I mean, and I think it's already paying off, right? I think they have guys coming there to play who are there because Michael Vick's the head coach. Maybe they would look elsewhere if he wasn't the head coach. He's bringing in some transfers from Power Four schools. Now that doesn't automatically make everything better and mean they're going to win 10 games, but what a start, right?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of anticipation. There's a ton. I mean, I know I'm speaking the obvious here, but that MEAC Media Day up in Baltimore on Tuesday was the biggest spotlight I think that event has ever been under.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could tell the two tables who people were there to see, right? I mean,
Right.
it was no question. All due respect to Howard and Morgan State. You still had. I mean, South Carolina State was the league favorites. Everybody was still crowded around Norfolk State and Delaware State's table because I mean that's the draw this year to the conference. You know what I mean? And I think this is a rising tide raises all boats situation. I think this can elevate the profile of the MEAC. I think it can help with resources for Norfolk State. I think it can do an awful lot of things that to help the conference across the board. But it had a big feel, right? Being at an NFL stadium, seeing two guys, seeing all the extra media there that otherwise wasn't in years past. I think it's going to be really exciting. And that first game, August 28th against Towson at Norfolk State, man, that is going to be electric. And I'm looking forward to that. That date is circled on my calendar.
And the thing is Robert Jones has done a great job
Yeah.
with the basketball program. So,
Yep.
Dick Price Stadium that's been right off of 264, for X amount of years, it's nice to see the excitement not only into the program, but to get butts and seats and for a national TV audience.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's they have it's exciting, like you mentioned, beyond football over there because again, Norfolk State just going to the NCAA tournament in men's and women's basketball. Okay,
Right.
Larry Vickers leaves. Now we have a new women's basketball coach, a new
Right.
baseball coach. Their tennis teams are among the MEAC powerhouses. So there's a lot going well over there, and I think what my hope is that Coach Vick's arrival doesn't just do the football program good, but that entire athletic program, hopefully there's a trickle down effect from that where the whole athletic program can reap the benefits, of Coach Vick being there and elevating that football team.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think starting with Coach Prime going from Jackson State to Colorado, and Eddie George getting into
Yep.
coaching, and other former NFL players, and the NIL and the exposure. It was just something that I think Norfolk State here had to do to pump some life back into the program.
Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt, right? I mean,
Right.
now, I don't think I would have to go back and look, but I don't think Dion's first season at Jackson State blew the roof off.
Right.
So I think that there has to be maybe some tempered expectations,
Right.
about, like, hey, again, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go out and win 10 games, but I think what you're going to see is a product on the field that definitely is hungry. You have to remember, Coach Vick's getting into this for the first time too.
Right.
And so how's that going to go? I mean, all indications so far, he's handled himself masterfully, I think.
Right.
I'm just very excited to see how things go once the ball kicks off. And when it comes to football, I mean, the guy has been successful in pretty much everything he's done.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not betting against him, that's for sure. I think
Right.
here's a guy that knows the game and now has said publicly that, hey, coaching was on my mind a couple years before it actually happened. You know,
Right.
so this is not something that he woke up one day and just decided to do. He's been exploring this, according to him, for quite some time. Now he's taken the dive, and again, like I think we'll see how it goes, but I think he seems pretty prepared.
Yeah, and then him working with one of the Fox pregame shows there from 11 to noon, and even the support that his colleagues
Yeah.
had, and just the exposure there for Norfolk State, and with him, with Norfolk State just being right across the water from where he grew up. I mean, it was like a win-win.
Yep, 100%. The whole 757 can get on board. Hopefully, I mean, that Battle of the Bay is going to be fun. I mean, I'm a big Trent Boykin fan over there at Hampton too. I really enjoyed seeing what he's done. I was thrilled when they gave him the full-time gig middle of last year. So, yeah, I think just the entire 757 is excited to see how Norfolk State can do and where they're going to end up and it also is going to bring. Let's not overlook. We talk about Hampton and Battle of the Bay. Watch how everybody else comes and brings their A game when they're playing. And I listen. I know every game's the same. That's the coach's line, and they're approaching for everybody or preparing for everybody the same way. But I think you're going to see some guys maybe amp up that level a little bit on the other sideline when they know they're going up against a Michael Vick coach team. So I think it'll be a pretty fun season all around.
Yeah, and to point out, where it's definitely not a slow time for you. I mean, when you come home, you might have time to take your breath, take a minute to catch your breath, but then it's time to also at the same moment, get ready to cover high school football, and with TV3 being right there in Norfolk. I mean,
Yep.
right across town there. Maury has done a great job, and Oscar Smith, and
Yep.
just the area of football that we have.
Oh my goodness, it's a good, and that's one thing that has always stood out. I was in Charlottesville, was my first on-air job, and then moved over to Richmond. I'm doing my Virginia tour card here. Now I'm down in the 757 where, I hope I can stay.
64. Yeah.
Exactly. But the 757 reputation it precedes itself. I mean, it's known for the athletes it pumps out. So you catch yourself watching some of these guys on Friday night wondering, hey, I wonder who's next. Like I wonder which one of these guys we're going to be seeing play on Sundays here in a little while. So yeah, it's fun. It's funny you mentioned get home and catch your breath. This is the week I kind of look at my wife and tell her I'll see you in December. It's not. I mean, no, I kid, but what a trooper she is. I'll give a shout out to my amazing wife Ashley, who just who is just incredible when it comes to understanding the rigors of this job and holding down the fort at home so that I get to do this. So I mean, behind every good man is a better woman rolling her eyes, right?
Right. Yeah, and and then also here with your baseball team. I mean, the guy behind the backstop. I mean, what excitement there for the Mariners.
Big Cal, man. Yeah. I and you have to understand, Mark, that being a Mariners fan is like it's like a form of like torture you sign up for. I don't know. Like it's I don't really know how to describe it. So we're the few and the proud Mariners fans, especially east of the Mississippi River. We
Right.
root for a team, the only active major league franchise that has never played in a World Series. We're
Right.
still waiting to play in the Fall Classic. Okay.
Right.
So, and every year you're wondering, is this it? Is this the
Right.
year? Is this going to happen? And then it's a roller coaster, as all baseball fans know, for their particular team through the season.
Right.
Dodgers and Tigers this year are fine. They know they're getting, but everybody else is kind of like, yeah, but Cal is giving you something extra to cheer for, and then maybe like, hey, maybe this is the little boost we're going to get. It's going to get us there. So, it's fun. But I've been cheering on that team for decades, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I remember, the run there in the mid 90s,
Yeah.
as the vote for, are they going to stay in town and, level the kingdom and build Safeco, and
Yep.
and I think that run kind of, made Safeco be built, or T-Mobile now, but and then in '01, when Lou Piniella was there, and they've and King Felix, and
Yep.
I mean, they've had good players, but now here with the home run derby, it looks like that they kind of have a nucleus of young talent here to build around.
Well, and that you mentioned them leaving town. I mean, like that 1995 Edgar Martinez double that scored
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr. in the playoffs. That saved baseball in Seattle, because I
Right.
mean, it looks otherwise they would have moved to Tampa, and it would have been lights out. But so that single thing, which led to all that success, kind of led to all that. The building of Safeco Field, now T-Mobile Park, and beautiful park, by the way, if you ever get to visit. But they've had those guys every. There were a couple of years where they didn't, but but they've always they seem more often than not to have those guys you could build a team around. It's just I wish they'd spend a little bit more money, and because right now I think the big thing is like their last year and this year their pitching's been so good, last year
Right.
especially, and please don't lose the window. Don't blow the window because you want to be cheap and not
Right.
pay for the bats that are going to give these guys runs. No one wants to play for a team that loses 2-1 all the time, you know? So, so, so like, you know, hopefully we'll see what happens here in the next week before the trade deadline. But, you know, it's again, like, you know, they've always had those guys. They've always had, they had a core there when they had Richie Sexton and Adrian Beltre and Raul Banez and, you know, a good group. We went those Ichiro teams, you know, like they've had a bunch of guys. It's just, man, what's going to be the right combination to get them over the hump? So I don't know. I've just, you know, my hopes are high. My expectations never are. and then and then we go from there.
Well, you know, Mark, appreciate your time, and you know, definitely, you know, watch Channel 3, watch your reports, and so what here for the fans out there
Yeah.
here, what with you reporting their Commanders training camp, what 6 and 11?
Yeah, 5:30 and 11. We do sports 5:30 and 11. So we'll be up here through Friday, and then Sunday we'll hit up Mike London's women's football clinic, which is a really cool event that he's doing to try to grow the game among women in the area, which I think is awesome. And his daughter Kristen is a big part of that too. Actually, a professional women's football player. So we're doing that Sunday, and then next week high school football we'll get rolling, and we'll start hitting up the college camps and everything. So, we're underway. We try to hit, more high schools than we can't. So hopefully we hit the school of everybody who's watching. But yeah, a fun time, and hopefully telling some pretty compelling stories of our local athletes along the way.
Yes. Well, hey, look forward to seeing you when you cover Western Branch
Yeah.
game, or at a ODU college football game here this fall. So thanks again for your time, and enjoy training camp here, and and then that Mike London thing there at William and Mary. That should be a good time. Looking forward to that report.
Yeah, hey, thanks a lot, Mark. Appreciate having me, and keep doing your thing too. Always good to see you out there and pumping up the guys in your community. So thanks again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. And so, all right, fans. So that was Mark Davis here with us today, and thanks again.